Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for the next installment of VMware Tanzu's panel series, Engage and Empower, where we dive into topics promoting diversity, inclusion, and tech. And before we bring in our amazing group of panelists, I'm AJ, and I'm a digital marketing manager for VMware, and I'm excited to be the moderator for today's panel. Today's topic is very important to me. I'm a proud father to a 5-year-old girl, and I'm lucky to be working at a company and for a team that prioritizes work-life balance and mental health. With all of that being said, each day does come with its own set of challenges, where some days are harder than others. So during the next hour, we'll discuss mental well-being in tech, diving into the challenges of burnout in technical workplaces and how companies can better create supportive environments for us, their employees. Now let me introduce our three panelists to share more about their personal journeys, careers, and mental well-being resources for professionals in the tech industry. Meet Kanika Tolver, CEO and founder of Career Rehab, Subrajit Palo, Senior Lead of Architecture Solutions at Northern Trust, and Christoph Schmidt, Virtualization Consultant at ITQ. Thank you everyone for being here today. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you all for the next hour. Now let's kick things off by learning a little bit about each of you. Please share more about your background and if you're comfortable, your personal connection to today's topic. Kanika, let's start with you.
Hey everybody, my name is Kanika Tolver. I am from the Washington, D.C. area. I have been in tech for over 15 years. I am super excited to be here because I really enjoy talking about mental health within the technology space. I am a project manager at the Department of Treasury, where I oversee software development teams using a lot of different technologies like ServiceNow. And I am the author and CEO at Career Rehab, where I help people transition into tech. Yes, here is my book. Here's my book. Thanks, AJ. Um, I am the author of this amazing book called Career Rehab: Rebuild Your Personal Brand and Rethink the Way That You Work. I am super excited to talk about anxiety, depression, and stress and how we can better manage it in the technology space.
Hi,
Thank you, Kanika. Let's go with you, Jean. Sorry about that.
no, hi. This is my name is Subrajit Palo, and you can call me Jeet. I work as a senior lead of corporate institutional services at Northern Trust here in Chicago, and I'm very happy to be here to learn more than anything else, to share my experience, of course, but to learn with these wonderful people here and all the people that are part of this panel. I have 15 years of experience in IT industry. I do work with many engineers and directing them and responsible of delivering some wonderful products. I'm also part of the Tanzu Vanguard group, which is a super group of Tanzu users, tech users, and who share their experience and help each other along the way. Thank you so much to be part of making me part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, G. We're happy to have you here as well. And last, certainly not least, Christoph, let's introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Christoph Schmidt. I'm based in Düsseldorf, Germany. I'm a blogger, VMAC leader, as well as 5 times VMware vExpert and member, as well as a lead of the VMware Tanzu Vanguards community, which is, yeah, like he said, a super user community from individuals constantly sharing knowledge and their set of skills all around the Tanzu portfolio. And currently I'm working as a virtualization consultant with ITQ in Germany.
Thank you, Christoph. Again, welcome, Kanika. Welcome, Jeet. Welcome, Christoph. We're looking forward to spending that hour here with you. Now, let's jump into our first question. Maintaining an environment conducive to positive mental health is a challenge for organizations of all kinds, but it's especially apparent in the tech industry and highly technical roles. Can you share an element you believe is crucial for creating a supportive environment for technical teams? Jeet, how about we start off with you?
Yeah, sure. I, I guess the short answer is a supportive, friendly environment. Creating a supportive, friendly environment that is very important. We are here talking about technology, and we all work as a team. Um, and you know, the team members are different. Each team member is different. Understanding each other's uniqueness and understanding each other's the capability that they can deliver is very important, and which is one of the things that we want to understand as we build the team together. With the new hybrid and remote structure, sometimes you have team members you have never met, you have never talked with. It was all easier before, which brings up its own challenges, and I think letting people, understanding the people and letting people do what they fit to their best is very important. Having small things, like taking a break, understanding, talking with them, maybe one-on-one talk. Some people are not good talkers, so understanding them, what's understanding about the family, understanding about what do they like. Some people are good with games, talking about that. It creates an environment, a supportive environment where we will, as a team, we grow and we learn from each other. I think is very important. And like I mentioned, that in the current environment where almost everyone is remote or hybrid, is understanding each other's uniqueness and sharing each other's uniqueness is very important to grow as a team overall.
Great, thank you, Jeet. I agree. I think working either from home or working in the office, a little bit of empathy and kindness to others does help create a more positive work environment. Christoph, how about you?
Yeah, I fully agree with Jeet. I think that making someone feeling welcome is the most crucial part to create a workplace to be. So, I mean, you're probably spending most of the day at work. So you should feel comfortable and everybody in their own way. So be it having the option to go to a separate room, listen to music, having a chat with colleagues, or having dinner or lunch, it shouldn't be constrained in some way. So like most of us are really looking forward to meeting friends after work or at the weekend. Why not adapt this feeling and making sure that meeting colleagues creates the same feeling? So I think relationships are key to our mental health, and working in a supportive team is hugely important to our mental health at work.
Thanks, Christoph. I know in the beginning of the pandemic and working from home, we had a lot of Zoom happy hours. I'm sure many of the people here as well viewing may have had one or two of their share of Zoom happy hours as well. So, Kanika, what's your take?
I think when we're leading technical teams, it's important to create safe environments by being supportive upfront. It's so important to have those tough conversations and letting people know that it's okay for them to talk to each other about things that they're struggling with, or talk to their project managers or their leaders. I think encouraging people that it's okay not to be okay, it creates more vulnerability within the workplace, which gives people the courage to really want to show up and say, hey, I'm not okay, but I am producing and I'm going hard for my deliverables, but mentally, emotionally, I'm not okay. I think in this climate of working from home, I think we have conditioned ourselves to not create boundaries as much. And we've been working really, really hard, and we've been forced to feel like we have to stay online longer. I think it's okay to encourage the team to take those breaks, to log off on time, and to really feel comfortable with having those conversations when there's personal things happening outside of work. So I think it's important for us to be supportive and let everybody know that we're rooting for each other.
Great, Kanika. I think you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's okay to say that you're not okay, right? And to be in a safe work environment, I think does help out with that as well. So thank you all for your thoughtful answers. Now let's move on to the next question. Part of the challenge is encouraging individual team members to speak up when they're feeling burnt out or when their work is negatively impacting their mental health. What advice do you have for folks who may be struggling behind the scenes but have a hard time bringing it up with their manager? Christoph, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. I think if you're not fine with talking to your manager in the first place or in a certain way, find another person to trust and who you want to be helped with in the first place. If you don't feel able to talk about your feelings at work, make sure that there's somebody or someone you can discuss it and discuss about your work pressure, be it partners or friends or the family. Everybody will listen to you. Not taking any action at all is absolutely the wrong path, I think, and will drive you like down the rabbit hole. So a good thing that I experienced myself is to find a place beside the actual workplace and making sure not to be distracted at all. So it is because of you. It should be just about you. So you should feel comfortable. Otherwise, it feels forced in your place. So another good thing is that it will make a more relaxing atmosphere. So to break things down and talk about it. I think that even if you are, or especially if you are a leader and can talk open about your feelings, it might encourage other people to do the same. So just go ahead and do it like you feel it.
Great, thanks, Christoph. Sometimes you got to be the one to start it, right? Start these conversations. Kanika, what would you like to add?
Well, I like to encourage myself and people that I work with and I coach and my readers to start the career relationship at the beginning of employment with getting those one-on-one check-ins with your manager. Start fostering and developing a healthy relationship, a good communication relationship with leadership or with your team members on a regular basis. So setting time, maybe 30 minutes once a week to have a check-in, a quick tag up. Sometimes you're not going to have anything negative to talk about. Sometimes you're going to be talking about your wins. Sometimes you're going to be talking about your blockers or your impediments. But I think we have a hard time having those tough conversations about burnout and stress because we haven't developed a healthy relationship with our manager or leadership from the beginning of dating the job, right? I like to say dating jobs, right? So as soon as I start this relationship with the job, I should be meeting with my manager on a regular basis so he can know everything that's happening with me, good or bad. And then when it's time to talk about burnout, anxiety, or stress, I can have an easier line of communication open. So I think that's the best way.
Thanks, Kanika. Me personally, with my team members, we do have ongoing weekly calls. Sometimes just to breathe together. Take a step back and to see what we're doing and to celebrate our wins. Thank you, G. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was while Christoph was speaking, I was like, "Oh, good, great minds speak the same thing," and I completely agree with what Christoph said, and then what Kanika said as well. What I would like to add is that we have to understand the retrospective is a very, very important thing in our job, the personal or the technician work, whatever we are doing. Understanding why we are not able to talk with someone, and then I think making small steps. Talk about small things first, and then encourage yourself. I would highly suggest these folks to talk with someone who they are comfortable with. Just talk it out, and then maybe take the baby steps to connect with your manager, and then start that relationship. Not think too much ahead. Sometimes I feel like people think too much ahead and perceive. Having taking the small steps, maybe the other side of the thing will be will be more receivable than you would think. I would suggest making first talk it out with someone who you are comfortable with, and second, make some small talks, and then eventually you will grow that relationship. And I can tell you that many of my friends long time, very close friends come from my work. My life partner come from my work, and it because you are such a big part of your life cycle goes with your work, and you will find more similar mindset people than in the outside world. So I think those steps will be very important, and then eventually I think slowly the relationship will grow to a level where uh, you're making a good thing for the whole team overall, and yourself, of course.
Thank you, G. I think especially relevant to this is sometimes it's hard to accept that maybe you're going through something or you need some help. So I think normalizing these conversations are a very important step, to make sure that we get to that right track. Um, but digging further into what companies can do, what are some practices you've seen implemented in technical workplaces to promote mental health? And what advice can you give to other leaders looking to create a welcoming, destigmatized culture for their employees? Christoph, let's go to you.
Yeah, sure. I think that having an open conversation on an eye-to-eye level is the best tool. So as Kanika and Jeet already told, I experienced it myself, regardless of which level the person in front of me was. So either it's a manager or a colleague or whatever. And also making it recurring. So make it every week or the other, making at least once a month, or in stressful days, maybe every other day, for example. Another thing I think is a good option is to put some stress into sport activities. That's always a good thing, either during the work or upfront or after it doesn't matter. Just put some stress into it. The last thing I want to mention is I witnessed it myself, is having lunch together. I already mentioned it before. Even the cooking itself, it was, or it is, a great way to create a good atmosphere. I saw it in different places that colleagues having fun, chatting and relaxing during the lunch, and they even take some information with them afterwards because they learned something new and they stayed in touch. So that was something I really loved, and I'm doing. So I think that this is a really great way to recharge those batteries for the next tasks.
Thanks, Chris. I'm all about recharging the batteries. I like that.
Yeah.
Kanika, what's your point of view here?
One thing that I've seen some leaders implement is really having things like unlimited paid time off. I think that companies are incorporating that to kind of really help people to take time off. I like when I see that, companies are saying, hey, we really want you to take your vacation time. You have been working all of these months and you have all this vacation time and you haven't been taking off. So I think leaders could really do a better job, or some good leaders are already doing good job at encouraging people to take time off. The second thing is encouraging people to work 40-hour work weeks. We have gotten to a point where we've gone beyond 40-hour work weeks because we're thinking that we're at home, we can work 40 hours, 50 hours or 60-hour weeks. So I think it's important to encourage. I know in my organization, my leaders believe in doing a hard 40 and going home. They don't really encourage us working beyond 40 hours a week. I think that is healthy because it's creating boundaries for you to log off at an 8-hour time, right? And you're not working 10, 12, 13-hour days. That has helped me. Also working out, really, really encouraging people to take their lunch break and go run, go work out, go to the gym, or maybe if there's something that they're interested in outside of work. I think it's so important for us to encourage people to do the things that make them happy. Like, what are you passionate about? Like, we know that we're in tech, right? And some of us have passions and interests and gifts and talents that go beyond our resume. And I think that helps deal with the stress. It helps deal with the burnout because you have something else joyful to look forward to than to always think about the day-to-day things that you're doing at your job. I think leaders need to pull pull that out of people too, to get to see who they are outside their resume and their LinkedIn profile. We are human beings who have aspirations and dreams and passions that go beyond tech. And I think we need to incorporate that in the workplace as well, because there are things that I could do that I'm doing right now that I could do at work that could bring me some happiness and joy. So I think leaders could really do a better job at doing that. And the last thing that I've seen is bringing in professionals, mental health professionals, and having regular seminars and workshops about what are the coping mechanisms that you can do to be able to be successful at work. I think having an outside perspective, it really helps professionals see how they could meditate, work out, and do so many other things to manage their stress and anxiety.
Thanks, Kanika. I see that as well. When people working from home, your commute from the bedroom to the office, you have a lot more time. You feel like maybe I can work even longer. But it's about normalizing turning off, at a certain time, and making sure that you have the extra time to take up a hobby or a passion project or something that can help recharge you, as Christoph would say. And I know Christoph and Kanika, you both mentioned about working out, doing something physical. Myself, we've done afternoon walks, but I myself am guilty of the ice cream in the afternoon or baking cookies throughout the day. So I'll try to take your advice and step away from that portion. Jeet, how about we finish off with you with this question?
Yeah, sure. I would like to continue what Kanika said, and also telling that I'm really fortunate with the current organization I'm working on. They give the ability to some of the things like take a day off, take a day break. Um, as individuals, we have to understand our own. Uh, People are different. If some, like I think Kanika mentioned this, some people want to work out, some people want to go out and take a walk. I personally, I can tell you myself that when COVID happened, I used to tell my manager that I will take my son, who was 3 years at the time, for a walk at lunchtime, and then take lunch and come back. But those little things helps. I have seen taking break, whatever break, coffee break. Like when we used to go to office, we used to take coffee breaks. We used to take a small chat with the new person who come in. We don't have that things. It doesn't feel that way anymore. So those small things really help more so than for yourself. I know that in our teams we do like game days where someone can suggest some crazy game no one understands, but then have some fun with that. Don't do any of the life cycle things. Family video days, introduce your family, and learn about show and tell days. We used to do show and tell days where you can someone is a magician, you show off. So those small things helps, and taking break for yourself, taking time for yourself to whatever you want to do. You want to finish some Netflix series, but whatever you want to do. And the other thing I want to say is having boundaries. Those boundaries we had kind of gone. You used to commute and you used to shut off your laptop. Now your laptop is right there. Or, you have to know when to turn that off, when to go away. I personally is guilty of like, oh, it's a very small thing, I'll finish it. It's always takes an hour, that small thing. So understanding that and taking a break. I can tell you from my experience that when you come back fresh for whatever you have done, it's always better. You have the energy. It's always better to come back and do that. So taking break and doing something that you really like is very important. And knowing your boundaries, when to turn off your computer and not look at it again, is very important.
Thanks, Jeet. We have my daughter, like I mentioned earlier, is 5 years old, and she is she makes sure that we're not online past a certain time. If my wife and I walk upstairs, she'll say, Are you still working? Work is over." So she makes sure that we keep our boundaries pretty tight over here in this house. Um, but as we get into our final prepared question, we have saved some time at the end to answer your questions live. And we are seeing a lot of the great questions already coming in, so continue to send them through the chat and we'll answer them shortly. Now, to get to our final prepared question, how has the shift to remote and hybrid workplaces impacted the mental health conversation for technical teams? Has the shift been positive or negative, and why? Kanika, please kick off this question.
Sure. So I think it's been a positive impact because it has pushed us to have these tough conversations. There has been so many things that's been going on in the world with the pandemic, with unrest times, with the different things that we've been seeing within politics. Just global news is just so much happening. In addition to everything that's happening in our personal lives, we are dealing with things that have nothing to do with our jobs sometimes. And I think being at home has reminded us of those things more often. The kids were home for a whole year from school. You know, we were scared in the very beginning of the new variants. I think being at home has forced us to have those tough conversations with our family members, but also with our employers, because the thing is, we all were going through the pandemic together. So different things were affecting us all at the same time, and we couldn't run from it. You know, before we were getting on the train, we were in a car, we all were internally dealing with our own issues. But we all had a time where we were sharing some of the same problems that the world was dealing with at one time. So it's pushed us to have these tough conversations with HR, with leadership, with our individual managers, and amongst our team members. And I think that they are seeing that having these conversations are going to help people be more vulnerable about when they're not okay. And it's going to help improve productivity, because if people have the resources and the information that they need to be successful, they're going to be able to show up and show out at work. But without that information and without those tough conversations, people are going to constantly just either burn out or quit jobs.
Thanks, Kanika. You know, it seems like it was just yesterday that everything just started, but it's already been over 2 years, and we're still going through this, still trying to learn, you know, how to navigate working and surviving and just thriving through this time. So, very great insight. Jeet, what would you add?
I do think it's positive, definitely positive. I mean, like Kanika said, it's a different thing. We had a discussion over a dinner with my friends, and you know, we were talking about this. And one of the things that really catch me is, like, we are human species. We are adaptable. That is what makes us different from other people, you know. And I think adaptability is what we have shown in last 2.5 years. And different people have different challenges. I can personally tell my son was 3 years old. He just started swimming. He couldn't go to swim class anymore. He had all the energy in his life that he wanted to get out somewhere. And I'm sure there are other people who have different challenges as well. Plus, we had to still do the work at home, still trying to figure out all that different stuff. But I think we have done a great job. Everyone, we have done a great job. But like we have discussed so far in the last 30 minutes, and we have to understand our individuality, our family overall, to know what we have to do, which will really help us, as an individual. And I do think that we need to take time, sometimes stop and take time to ourselves, so that we take that evaluation, do that evaluation, and go forward in as a technician, as our technical life, as well as the personal life, more so than ever, to have our mental health and our health take more importance to our health and mental health.
Thank you, Jeet. That was great. Christoph, how about we finish up with you for this question?
Sure. Yeah, I'm totally agree with Jeet. And I think that especially during the first year of the pandemic, the overall health and feeling of a person shifted to a really negative way, but just during the first year. So it was not because of a single reason, but more due to the fact that so many things, like Kanika already said, happened at once and nobody was prepared for it. So take, for example, that from one day to the other, everybody needed to stay at home. So, and everybody need to rearrange their normal routine to adapt this new day-to-day work and situation from the very beginning. So it was really hard for everybody in every level. So in the end, I think we get used to it. Like Jeet already said, we can adapt as a human species, and we get used to everything what's going to change. So I think it's not perfect as it is right now, but after more than 2 years of this hybrid working attitude, it seems that we've we found a way to arrange everything around it, and like I said, you can get used to it. Maybe it's not the quick break with the colleagues anymore you have on a daily basis. It's more the quick break with your kids, for example, going in the garden or going for a walk for 10 or 15 minutes just to get your head free for the next task. Or maybe it's not the way to work you used to ride by bike. Now it's a sports session afterwards, or even up front, as I said. I think we get used to it. So we shouldn't stress about it. We should take our time, and we will work out.
Thanks, Christoph. I think just after 2 years now, I'm starting to get the flow of it. So starting to get the hang of it, and we can start moving forward with that. But that concludes finally. That concludes the prepared questions portion of this panel. But we're just getting started. Now it's time to hear from you all, our live audience. Our team has pulled together some questions from the chat, and we'll open up the floor to the panelists. We already have some questions here queued up for us. So let me see here. How can we establish an improved awareness of the early warning signs of anxiety, depression, etc.? Often feeling stressed, having sleeping problems, not being able to relax is seen as the norm, and often employees don't even recognize that. They're suffering mentally and physically. So how can we teach employees and our managers to recognize the symptoms a lot earlier, not only when it's too late? And Kanika, we throw that to you.
Yeah, since I've kind of experienced some of those symptoms myself, I felt like I would take that question. Throughout the pandemic, I've actually had sleep issues. I've had anxiety as well. So I think a lot of times we are not paying attention to our triggers. What's triggering us to not sleep? What's triggering our brain to keep racing and running and not cutting off? It could be work related, it could be personal too, right? But for 30 some odd years of my life, I never went to therapy. But these symptoms have been there majority of my adult life. But I have normalized living in that ball of confusion. So what I did is I decided to hire a therapist. And I go to therapy on a monthly basis. Since I do have anxiety, like in my book, I talk about that we can turn our anxiety into accomplishments, but we need to figure out what are the coping mechanisms to do that. We have to be upfront with our management about when we feel like something is triggering. It could be a deadline. It could be there could be something that could be triggering. It could be a team member. It could be a bad leader. I've worked under bad leadership that has triggered my anxiety. So how do I go to a bad leader and tell them that I'm suffering from anxiety because of their leadership style, right? That's a tough situation for an employee to handle and have a conversation with somebody that is a toxic manager or a toxic leader. So I recommend people seeking help from HR, going to their EEO office. I recommend people having conversations with their manager's manager if they have to take it there. But I do think it's important for us to write down and be in tune with what triggered me to have a depressing feeling today. What's making me sad? What's triggering me to be super anxious? What's triggering me to be stressed out? Am I not prioritizing my personal life the way I should? Am I not taking the right breaks? Have I not created the right boundaries for a healthy bedtime, going to bed at the same time? I think we all in this pandemic have not had proper sleep hygiene because we've been able to be at home and get on our laptops and get on our computers and get on social media, and we could do it all hours of the night because we knew that tomorrow we didn't have to get in the car to drive to work. So I think we all can improve on our sleep hygiene by making the bedroom only available for sleep, right? And making us feel like, okay, this is my set bedtime. I think if we get back to what we used to do when we had to go to work, get back into those best practices, it'll create a better, healthier environment for us to be able to thrive in. But I do believe you can reverse your stress into success. And I do believe that you can dominate depression.
Thanks, Kanika. I think I'll hand this off to G and Christoph shortly, but I do like to know, thank you for noting about seeing a therapist. I myself see a therapist on a monthly basis as well, and before it was reactive, but now coming into seeing a therapist proactively to try to figure out what those triggers are and to see how I can move forward in the next month. So that's great. I have also enjoyed, maybe dressing up for work has been a big helpful for me as well. Although maybe it's a shirt and some shorts, and no one sees the shorts on these Zoom calls, but I think that's important to have that flow of maybe coming into the office, but still being at home. Would you like to add to this?
Yeah, I would like to stress what Kanika said about the trigger. I think that is the most important part there, that understanding and comparing yourself, what you were and what you are, and what is that different that is causing that depression to happen. Every cases are different. I do want to stress about what I was telling before was like, at some point of time you have to just stop and think about it. I feel like I have seen many people and really engineers who just joined, they're just trying to run and never stop. I believe, I strongly believe at some point of time you have to stop and think about the, retrospectively think about what has happened. I have seen people who be like, I'm home. Why should I take a vacation? I'm home. What should I do? It's everything is closed anyway. What should I do? Um, I have taken vacation just to be at home, just to sleep. Just to sleep. I've not gone outside just to sleep, just to clean my house. Um, uh, Taking a break really helps, and understanding what has caused that one. And again, like Kanika suggested, talk with someone who can help. And that will definitely, I think that will be a small starter points to go forward with.
Thanks, Jeet. I think maybe earlier on, some folks, myself included, felt guilty for taking time off. Now I'm working from home. I shouldn't have to take time off. This is already nice, but making some time to have a staycation or to do something, especially during this time, has been very helpful. Yeah. Christoph, would you like to add anything as well?
Yeah, just a small little thing I've seen in the past, which I think really improved the awareness, is get off your laptop. So even for the manager, get off your laptop, close it, put it away, and just try to reconnect to the person behind the desk. You just see them emailing you or reporting to you some Excel sheets or something like this, but you may lost the connection to the person itself. So try to get connected again and get a feeling of how she or he is doing during the normal day. Maybe also what happened in the private way. So I think it's really important to, yeah, take a step back from all the technology and reconnecting as a human being, as a person itself, just to know each other back again.
Great insight there. I think, since you're not able to be in the office with your coworkers or sharing a meal with your coworkers, having a fun Slack channel or being able to converse where you get to know the person not only helps yourself mentally, but even makes the work more rewarding, getting to work with people that you like to work with as well. And thank you, Anna, for that question. We do have another question here from the audience. Any one of you have mental health resources or organizations you can recommend for folks that are just getting started in their technical career? Kanika, it looks like maybe you have something to add for this.
Sure. So, me being a Black woman in tech, a lot of my followers and audience and the folks that follow me are Black women and Black men. So I found my therapist on I think it's blackgirlstherapy.com. If you just put in Black Girls Therapy, basically it's a website where it has a list of um, all Black female therapists. So if you feel like that is a good fit for you, you can check out that website as well. I also, have played around with using like the Calm app. It's an app that you can also use to calm your mind. It has meditation and has other resources like that as well. But yeah, I highly recommend finding a therapist that is in alignment with what you need. I had a issue with finding a therapist that was directed through my health insurance because I just wasn't vibing out with those therapists. And I think it's sometimes you may go through 2 or 3 therapists before you find the right fit. And I want people to know that is perfectly normal. Don't get frustrated if you go through a therapist. You're like, I'm not really vibing with this particular therapist. I think it has to be a good match as well for people because everybody has different needs and some therapists don't understand certain people's perspectives or backgrounds or trauma. So I think it's important that you be careful with who you decide to be your therapist.
Thanks, Kanika. Jeet, did you have something to add as well?
Yeah, I don't have the resources, but I can tell you that I've seen yoga is a very good thing, physically as well as mentally. Something that you can if you search, you will find various different things. If you want to consult someone, there are yoga consultants as well. But it's definitely helpful. I've seen my friends practicing as well. Definitely helpful if you want to try out.
Thanks, Jeet. Kanika, I know you mentioned the Calm app. I myself have gotten calm with the Calm app with LeBron James's help. I can confirm that it does help you out, but it does not help your game. So my game is still the same, even though I listen to LeBron James to get myself calm as well. I know that we do have quite a few other questions that have been coming in here, but just shout out some of the folks that are here today. You see Anna, hello Anna, Grant, Sharice, Robert, Sanam, Rachel, Jason, Kelly. Thank you all for joining us today. I know there's a lot more here. I just can't keep scrolling down here. So let's see. Next question here is you've all touched on what companies can do to help struggling employees feel supported and empowered. But what is an important thing companies can stop doing, something that maybe is well-meaning but not actually helpful? Christoph, let's hand this to you.
Yeah, sure. I think that one particular way what actually is meant to be good is having meetings one after another. So when you're looking at your calendar and the meeting is just from 8 till 5 p.m., that's not going to work. So it's going to stress you out because you know that after all the meeting marathon, you need to do the work. So maybe it's good to cancel one or the other meeting at all. Maybe talking about the manager or the person who invited you about why you declined the invite at all. So stop trying to be at every call on every day, or just doing a quick call for like 5 minutes. That would be a good idea, I think.
Thanks, Christoph. You know, we did something here for our team where we had some no meeting Mondays. We're gonna spend that day kind of catching up on your email and working on that. And then I think as a company, we've shortened our meetings from 30 minutes to 25 minutes and 1 hour to 50 minutes. So, you know, there are some times where you can even use the restroom. You're having meetings back to back to back to back. So just a few minutes, I think, has helped. But it looks like Fule Snobble had felt the same as well. Kanika, it looks like you might have.
I agree so much with the meetings. I'm a project manager, so I sit in meetings 85% of my time. I think that meetings have gotten worse during the pandemic. I believe that there should be no meetings during lunchtime hours. So there should be a 2-hour window between 12 and 2 p.m. because some people can take their lunch at noon. Some people may take their lunch at 1, and allow people to take a full hour lunch break. I think also having meetings late in the day, a 5 o'clock meeting or 4 o'clock meeting, people maybe wanted to do other tasks before they wrap up their day. And you've had them in meetings all day long and they have not had any time to actually do any actual work. So I think it's important that we have those tough conversations with managers about meetings because they are out of control. And I see people in the comments saying that they left their jobs because of those type of meetings. And the last thing I want to say that what leaders can do is when a new employee starts, encourage work-life balance from the beginning. Don't try to encourage it once they've come and complained about burnout, but really make it a part of the company culture. Really, leaders should be leading showing and displaying themselves as they adhere to work-life balance. A lot of times we see these perks on the company websites, and you get to the job and it's nothing what they said the job was going to be. So I want companies to really focus in on, and leaders focusing in on, encouraging their employees to take off, but they take off as well because they're displaying and showing that it's okay to take off.
Thank you, Kanika. Very, very great insight as well. You know, it's funny to be younger, and when I was younger in my career, I just wanted to be in those meetings, right? I wanted to be in the room where it happens. I wanted to be in there, and then now there's all these years where it's like, you know, maybe I don't want to be in there anymore. So I'm
No,
normalizing
you
that.
don't
Yeah.
want you don't want to secure your seat at every table. You just want to be at the meetings that are valuable for you. And that's another thing, making sure that you specifically say this person's optional. They don't have to come would be helpful.
Right, definitely. I'm all about that. The kids' table, the dining table, I'm good with, but maybe not every meeting table there as well. Let's get into the next question here. How can I advocate for myself when someone thinks I should be available for more hours each day, but I'm already working nonstop, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and I've articulated that I'm not available 6 to 10 p.m. Jeet, how about we hand this to you?
I think this is where we need to have an honest conversation with your supervisor and I mean, understanding what is required. You know, we different people work different hours. Working in a different hours is not a problem, but I think that's when we have an honest conversation with a supervisor or manager, whoever that is, saying like, if you need me, what time do you need me? And if you need me at this hour, I will be available at that hour. And then prioritizing based on that. And I think when we started, I was telling like each people have a unique thing. You know, people work in a different way, different. As a leader, understanding that uniqueness and using that to the greater good is more important than enforcing something. And if this being, I would say that that's when you go and talk with whoever is responsible and saying, you know, I'm available at this time. and would you want to change my time or whatever. That I think that's more conversation with the person, whoever is managing you or supervising you, would really help.
Thank you, G. And Kanika, how about we finish off this question with you?
I think that before people take a job, because I think the question is really like after you've accepted this job and this has happened, and how do you have that tough conversation? I talk to a lot of job seekers, and I think it's important to have those conversations with the recruiters and the hiring managers prior to accepting the job. We really sometimes are so happy that we got a job offer that we're not asking those hard questions and setting the tone for that new employer by saying, what is the work-life balance what does that look like here? Because if you're asking that question, you're showing that there's a level of importance to you about you setting boundaries for the hours that are you going to be working. And then also talking to the recruiter and the hiring manager about what are the core work hours? Can I set my own schedule? When we have these conversations with intent, within good intentions, we're letting the employer know that, look, I'm willing to accept this job offer, but this is what I need to know and understand prior. Because a lot of times we want to have these conversations after we've taken the job, and then it's just too late. I like to have those conversations up front because I need to know whether this is a good personality fit, good behavior fit, and is it going to meet up with my personal life? And if it's not, and if I hear or I read on websites, different reviewed websites, employer websites, that the company culture is always working people beyond their work hours, I don't even want to go there anyway. I don't even want to accept the job anyway. So we as employees have to do our due diligence to, get with AJ and say, AJ, how is VMware? What's the day in the life there? I need to do my due diligence to know, is this what I'm signing up for? Because if I'm signing up for this, I may not need to go with that company.
Thanks, Kanika. I think I know that was a rhetorical question, but VMware is very good. Very good over here. So, but yes, setting the expectations is important. Right. I think when you start a new job, even when you're at a job, making sure that you set up those expectations to see what's important to you. Now we have another question here. What is an underrated or uncommon piece of advice you have for young tech professionals? Christoph, looks like you might have something to add here.
Yeah, I think it's not really uncommon, but mostly underrated, is speak up. So even if your manager is like a big person, looking mean or doing his work in a really stressful way or something like this, take your time and speak up. Even she or he is just a person and does have feelings at all. So don't take your feelings with you and taking them home and not talking about it anyway. So I think most people really see it as an underrated advice. Just speak up and try to say no in a particular way. I mean, not no in like I'm not coming home to I'm not coming to work today. More like I can't join the meeting, like I said, because I have to do this and this and this milestone. But I will call you back later in a later hour or something like this. So saying no is quite a big step, I guess.
I want to add.
Go ahead, Kanika.
I said I wanted to add. Mine's going to be really quick. My advice for someone starting in tech, or anyone starting a new opportunity and they've been in tech for a while, is that this industry is a very, very stressful industry by default because we do a lot of configuration, troubleshooting, analyzing, developing, deploying. We do a lot of technical things. So by default, it's labor intensive on your brain just by default because it's not an easy industry. My word of advice to people is to understand that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And don't try to kill yourself in your first job or in any job. Don't run yourself in the ground. Pace yourself. Pace yourself. Because if you learn how to pace yourself early within the first 5 years, you will take that on for the rest of your career. And the boundaries that we've been talking about this afternoon, you will have them down pat. You will have them set. And you will always align yourself with the right opportunity that's in alignment with the boundaries that you learn to set within the first 3 to 5 years of your career.
Thanks. I think someone mentioned in the comments that this is a marathon. Right, so prepare like a marathon, right? You're in there for the long haul, so take your time.
You want to do your 26 miles, right? You want to do your 26 miles. You don't want to burn out at mile 2.
There you go. There you go. I like it. And then Jeet, how about we finish off with you?
Yeah, I feel like Kanika read my mind. I was like, I was going to say that, but then Kanika, you must have low-key power. But I just a simple advice I would give, and whenever a new joinee comes in, because I'm an architect and we want to talk with them, I suggest them that take time for yourself, which will really help in your career. Um, Reading through, brushing through every technical aspect is not really going to help a lot. But eventually you will be there, and like Kanika said, much of our work is right here. You think, you do a lot of things, and overloading that more and more is not going to help anything more. Having a relaxed mindset helps a lot, and you will be so surprised that you will do more than trying to learn and trying to race through that. Oh, I need to learn this, I need to learn this. um, you will be there, but having a relaxed mind and going through it, it definitely will help. I will suggest take time for yourself.
Thanks, Jeet. Great insight as well. We're continuing to get a lot of questions coming in, but we do have to wrap up right now. But I do want to just say a special thank you so much for joining us today for our 6th installment of Prioritizing Mental Health in Technical Workplaces in the Engage and Empower series. Kanika, Christoph, Jeet, it has been my pleasure to share this hour with you guys. I've had a lot of fun. Hope you guys had some fun as well. It looks like the audience also really enjoyed the content that we were sharing. So thank you so much for taking the time to open up and sharing your stories with the audience. Most importantly, for helping us to continue breaking down walls towards a more inclusive industry focused on mental well-being. Thanks to all of you for your engagement in the chat, for all of your live questions, and for joining us for this hour. And if you're interested in connecting with Kanika, Christoph, and Jeet, we've included their social profiles below. To learn more about VMware Tanzu portfolio, please visit tanzu.vmware.com/tanzu. Thank you all. We're very excited to share this content with you. We're looking forward to seeing you at our next Engage and Empower series webinar panel. So once again, thank you, Jeet. Thank you, Kanika. Thank you, Christoph. Thanks to all of you. Have a great week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Bye.